We're talking to Betty Sutton, who's the candidate for the 13th District here in Medina. And I'm going to ask her a few questions. Certainly, your career in politics has been based on standing up for workers and bringing ethics and integrity back to Washington. What is your plan to end the culture of corruption in Washington?
Well, I know that's a big task, but we have to do it because until we do cut off the ties that bind the lobbyists and the legislators together and make that culture of corruption flourish, we're never going to get policies that respond to the people. So what I did in the primary, and I am still promoting, is a 5-point plan to deal with corruption, expose the culture of corruption to the light of day. So one of the proposals, or one of the points on the proposal, is to stop the gifts and the perks that are used to woo legislators by lobbyists. Stop trips that are being financed by lobbyists for legislators to far-off destinations. Close the revolving door. Currently, what happens is a lot of legislators leave the legislature and go right on to lobby on the very things that they were supposed to be making laws about. And that's just a little too close, and it results in people playing games that really hurt ordinary folks back in the 13th District. Also, I would expose the legislative process more to the light of day. At any given time, if a bill is controversial or they want to do something, they often put things in during a conference committee, and the public isn't even privy to the vote. So exposing the public's business to the public would also go a long ways to getting laws that are more responsive to the people. So that's how I would start that process. And then we can get policies that work.
Okay, great. What are your plans, I guess, to help Ohio's workers? What is your plan?
Well, a lot of my life has dealt with helping Ohio's workers. You know, I grew up in Barberton, Ohio. My father worked in the Boilermaker factory his whole life, and my mom at the public library. When I was in the Ohio legislature, I fought for a lot of initiatives that dealt with making the lives of Ohio's working families workable. Fought to raise the minimum wage way back in 1995, and as you know, we're still fighting that fight even today. At the same time, of course, I voted against pay raises for myself because I just really don't think it's fair that we would have people who are working 2 or 3 jobs and they can't even make ends meet, and legislators continue to give themselves pay increases. So there are many actions that we can take and that I have taken in the past. When I left the legislature, I actually became a lawyer who represents workers, so I've been negotiating and working with employers to help them meet the needs of the employees that they want to be good to, and they want to be successful. Enacting trade policies that can work for both American companies and American workers is possible. And that is what Sherrod Brown has been trying to do for a long time. And when I'm in the House and he's in the Senate, we're going to have a lot of opportunity to make that really happen.
What is your the biggest difference between you and your Republican opponent?
Well, I would say that there are several differences, but generally speaking, I mean, my whole life has been about giving a voice to the people of this district. First as a legislator on 3 levels of government. I served on Barberton City Council, on the Summit County Council, and then in the State House for 8 years, and then came back and practiced law on behalf of ordinary folks on a daily basis up and down the 13th District. It's always been about standing up and giving a voice to the people who live here and fighting on their behalf. My opponent doesn't certainly have the breadth or level of experience that I do in that regard. This is an opportunity. We're about to change the way business is being done in Washington. My opponent really reflects the status quo. The first thing he did was bring in Dick Cheney to raise money for him. I'm all about change. I don't like the way business is being done in Washington, and so I guess that's the biggest difference. He represents the status quo, and I represent change. Thank you.
Thank you. We've been talking to Betty Sutton, 13th District Congressional candidate.